Well, hey folks, welcome back. Walker Custom Garage. As you can see, I'm here with Boneshaker, and this one's going to be a little bittersweet. As some of you may know who've been around since the beginning, this was my first project, and it's taken me approximately 2 years to put this thing together from humble beginnings. And I've turned it into what it is now, and it's really been a labor of love. But ultimately, the time has come to let this thing go and get it into some better hands, somebody who can take care of it better than I can, somebody who is going to enjoy it just as much as I have. It's really been a joy. It's been a lot of fun driving it around for the past year or so. I've taken it to a handful of car shows. I even won a trophy at my first show. It's also been an opportunity for me and my son to bond through doing some of the work and getting it ready for the shows. So it really is bittersweet. But ultimately, I have a car show coming up here in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Osage Casino. Now this is a 3-day show, 700 plus car event. So there's going to be a lot of eyes, and I need to get this thing ready to make it show quality, or as much show quality as possible, and slap a for sale sign on this thing and see if we can get some interest. Now, I've only got about 2 weeks to get everything done that needs to be done to get this thing ready for the show. So let me get you in here and show you exactly what I need to do. Now right off the bat, you can see that I got my door panels done. Those turned out pretty good. Kind of matched the interior. That's what I was going for, red and white. Obviously the theme is red, white, and blue. But I have this back that I need to get working on, and I'm actually working currently on a back panel that'll match the door panels for behind the seats. But I've also got these panels that came with the truck that kind of go here in the corners, so I'm going to need to rivet those in. After I get those done, I can go ahead and put that back panel in and finish off the interior. And as you can see, I've got the seats out currently. Those are with a friend of mine. She's currently working on making some slip covers. Now when it comes to the motor, you can see, if we really get in here nice and close, you can see that I've got a couple rust issues. I failed to paint this thing before I actually installed it, but I think with a little bit of TLC I can get it looking good again. Maybe paint it. I don't know, we'll see what I can do there. But the engine definitely needs to be detailed, needs a little bit of work done. You can see in the engine compartment I've got some rust issues when it comes to the motor mount, so I need to get all that rust knocked off there and painted. And one last thing, I have this Power Blast plate from Thompson Performance that I saw on Facebook. This is supposed to mount in your carburetor. It's supposed to help atomize the fuel that comes out of the jets for better performance, more horsepower. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed on there and see if it makes any difference. The reviews have been great, so we'll find out for sure. The majority of the work, however, is going to be on the front suspension. When I first started driving this thing, it really drove like a go-kart. It was really hard to steer, and there was no suspension basically, but the little bit of work that I did here and there really kind of helped it out, and it's gotten a lot better. Now if we get in here, we can see right off the bat that there's some rust issues, especially on the calipers, on the axle, on the rotors. Same on this side. I need to knock all the rust off of the axle, get it painted. You can see in here where I had some issues with the drag link, the tie rods rubbing on these horns. I ended up cutting those horns off, so that made it a lot better ride, but there's still quite a bit of play in these things, so I need to go ahead and get that tightened up. I need to tighten up the steering box as well. You can see here, this is a crushed brake line, so that's not good. It means probably this brake is not working, so I need to go ahead and get that redone. I had a bit of an accident a few months back where it did very minimal damage, but that was definitely part of it, so I need to get the brake lines redone, rebled. Probably the biggest problem that I had with my accident, negative outcome here, was I got a chip here in the paint, so I'll have to get this fixed. That's some Bondo and paint, no big deal. I can get that done pretty good. Now those are the things that I need to get done on this to get it show ready. I've got a very short amount of time to do it, approximately 2 weeks, but I think I can get it done. Shouldn't be a big deal. Strictly going to focus on Boneshaker here over the next couple weeks. Put on a good show, slap a for sale sign on it, and hopefully generate some interest where you can get this thing sold, generate some income to start working on these other projects. Alright, I'm about to tear into this thing, and as you can see, I got the floor cleaned up and everything. I also got these panels in. Now I'm ready to put in the back panel. Still working on that inside the house. I'm getting ready to tear into the front suspension. I need to go ahead and get all this stuff off. You can see the rotors and everything have been starting to flash rust, and I just need to get all this cleaned up and painted. So I'm gonna get these wheels off and start tearing the suspension apart. Well, you can see just how rusted that is and just how neglected this has been. Here's the driver's side caliper and just everything, the rotor and everything. I really wish I would have done a better job when I put all this stuff on, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and make it as good as possible, try to renew all this stuff, try to get as much of this rust off of here as possible, and go ahead and drop this axle, get everything painted, cleaned up and painted, and put back together again. Got both of the calipers and the rotors off. As you can see, I mean, they're both pretty much in the same type of shape. But we'll get these cleaned up, get them painted. About to get started on this axle. This is the last thing that came off, so this is the first thing that'll go on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. And here's what it looks like after it's been cleaned up with that wire wheel. See, I got most of all that rust off there. Looks pretty good. A couple spots I gotta hit, but looks pretty good, a lot better than it was. As you can see, I got everything set up and ready to paint. And this is the Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Plus. So we're gonna see how this works. It takes 4 hours to dry, so we're gonna get one coat on top of here and get it all painted, and then we'll focus on the calipers. So now it's on to the calipers. You can see just how bad rusted they are. So I'm gonna try to get as much of this rust off of here as possible. Hopefully it's really just surface rust, and come back and paint it. We'll hit it with primer and then come back and hit it with some yellow. And here you can see the difference between the two. Just got finished with this one, obviously, and it cleaned up pretty nicely. I've still got some things that I need to get out in the corner with a wire brush, but for the most part it came out pretty good, which tells me that it was all just surface rust, which is a good thing. So let's get this one cleaned up real quick, and then it's pretty much ready to paint. Just finished painting the front end here. I had a couple areas, especially around the horns, the areas that I cut, that I needed to do some welding and then get it all cleaned up and painted. So I just did that, everything from the front, the very front here, all the way back to the bracket to hold up the radiator. It's painted underneath all the way around. Then I got back a little bit further. Now I'm about to work on this axle, getting the axle mounted back, and then we can start putting everything back together. And I can't wait to show you guys these calipers. They came out fantastic. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. I have the axle mounted. All of the hardware is loose right now. I want to get it down and sitting in its natural position before I bolt all that stuff up, tighten it all up. But you can see I've got the rotor painted and ready to go on. That'll be next, but I'm going to go ahead and get these bearings, repack them, make sure that there's enough grease in there. May as well, since I have it off. I'm going to do both sides, and we'll get the rotors on and bolt them down, and then I'm going to put these calipers on, and I just can't wait to show you. Alright, got the brackets in, the rotors on, got those all greased up, painting the dust caps currently, but check this out. Bam, look at that. That looks pretty dang good, man. I'm really impressed with these. These came out great. I can't wait to get them on. So first I'm going to go ahead and clip these brake pads in, and we'll go ahead and get them bolted up. Well, here we are, got the calipers on. They're looking really good. Man, that looks really sharp. I like that. So they're secure, they're ready to go. Got to finish this brake line over here, get it hooked up, then we'll have to bleed the brakes. But I'm gonna take some time and clean up these tires, get them nice and polished up, get them looking good, then I'll throw them back on here, and we can take a look, then we'll hit the brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this spot real quick and throw some Bondo on there, and we'll get that drying so that we can sand it later. Alright guys, we made it to the show. This is about as good as it's gonna get, but it looks pretty good. Got everything cleaned up, engine compartment cleaned up. Looks pretty good next to the porta potties. That's awesome. So got a for sale sign on it, so let's see what happens. Alright, so it's a really good turnout. It stretches all the way back about a quarter mile into the back parking lot, which is where I'm at. And I'd say we've got about at least 400 cars here. I'm gonna hit some of the highlights here. This is a beautiful truck. This one's super slick. couple rat rods that I've seen in this show so far, besides mine. Here's one. Another one here. Now, this is pretty slick. My buddy in high school had one just like this, but it was red. And that's one of the things that helped me get into this car thing. My buddy Nick from high school. Alright guys, well I'm about to wrap up for the evening, but it's a pretty successful day. Got a few offers. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Just got back from the show, and I'll tell you what, it was a successful weekend. Had a really good time out there. It started raining a little bit earlier, so everybody started packing up. So I made it an early day today. But overall, it was really a great weekend. Had a lot of success, talked to a lot of really cool people. Saw a lot of amazing cars and trucks out there. Was able to get some ideas for what I want to work on next and how I want to do it. Also had the opportunity to meet a couple of you subscribers. Mike from Sapulpa and Alan here from Tulsa ended up showing up at the show and came by to say hi. That was unexpected, but that was great. It was very good to meet both of you. So I had a lot of fun. Was able to talk to a lot of really cool people. And I've got to say, whatever I did to this front end, I did it right. This thing drives so much better now. Drives and runs great. Had no problems with it whatsoever. It actually feels like it has some suspension. Almost like it's got shocks on it. So whatever I did, I'm glad I did it. I did it right. So like I said, I put Boneshaker up for sale, threw a for sale sign on it, and I actually had a couple offers, so that was pretty flattering. The first one was for a trade. Somebody was looking to trade for a dirt bike, and I had to shoot that down pretty quick. I just wasn't interested in a dirt bike. I got too many other projects going on. The other offer was a cash offer, but it was considerably lower than what I was asking. I was asking $13,500 for this, and that offer came in considerably lower, so I had to pass on that as well. But I've got it listed in several places, so we'll see what comes in the next week or so, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. It was a great weekend, had a really successful show, got to talk to a lot of really cool people, but it's been super hot. It's been a long weekend, so I need to get some rest. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and throw me a like, subscribe if you're interested, and we'll see you in the next one.